Hey guys! So today we are practicing problems and reviewing for our test. These absolute values have stuff on the inside of the absolute value and stuff on the outside. So we're going to practice all these problems and talk about them. Okay, the first thing that we need to do is get absolute B-S-O-L-U-T-E value by itself. You must do that first. Okay, so we're going to do that first and focus on that. On number 11, in order to get this absolute value by itself, we need to do the opposite of what's happening. So if you're confused and you're not quite sure what to do, think about this problem. The absolute value is the same thing as a variable. So think about negative 6x equals negative 24. So if you can solve this problem, then you can solve this problem. Okay? We save the absolute value till the very end. Since the negative 6 is getting multiplied by the absolute value, or since the 6 is getting multiplied by the x, the opposite is to divide. So we're going to start by dividing each side by negative 6, just like we would in this type of problem. When we divide by negative 6, our negative 6's go away, and now we're left over with the absolute value of x plus 7 equals 4. And here we would have x equals 4, which is correct because our variable is standing for this absolute value. But this problem can go further. This problem is done. So we're going to focus on our problem. So now I'm 4 spaces from 0. So I'm going to draw my cute little number line. I could go 4 spaces this way and be at positive 4, or 4 spaces this way and be at negative 4. So 4 spaces from 0 either gets me to negative 4 or 4. So we're going to rewrite this guy. X plus 7 could equal a positive 4 because that's 4 spaces from 0, or x plus 7 could equal a negative 4 because that's 4 spaces from 0. I'm going to solve for x by doing the opposite of add 7, so I'm going to subtract 7 on each side, and x is equal to negative 3, and x is equal to negative 11. Okay, that's how you do that one. So we're going to keep going. It's the same idea every single time. So this problem would be like something that said 10 plus x equals 14. So you solve this problem like you solved this problem. So you can, if you really wanted to, draw a giant x on top of your absolute value and solve it like a variable, and then when it is by itself, put this information back, okay? So think about this problem. I would do the opposite of this guy because I have 2 items over here and we only want 1 item. And the item that matches this side is 10. So these 2 are like terms that we want to combine. So I'm going to take 10 off of this side. What we do to one side, we must do to the other. Same thing up here. So we're going to take 10 off because that's the opposite of positive 10 and we want it to go away. That leaves just our absolute value of n plus 2. Then we're going to take 10 off of this side, again, to keep everything nice and balanced, and that gives me 4. Here, I'm done, because I don't have an absolute value, but this problem is an absolute value. So think about it again with your number line. If you're at 0 and you go 4 spaces to the right, you'll be at positive 4, or 4 spaces to the left, you'll be at negative 4. So that's what our 2 options could be, because this is moving from 0 and we have 2 choices to move from 0, left or right. Okay, so we've got n plus 2 equals positive 4, or n plus 2 equals negative 4. To get the variable by itself, we're going to do the opposite of add, just like we solved this problem and this problem. It's the same steps each time, just looks slightly different. So we're going to subtract by 2 on each side. N equals 2 and n equals negative 6. Okay, let's look at 13. So again, we're trying to get the absolute value all by itself, just like we did in 12. And this problem is really similar to 12. So again, you could think about it like terms, right? I have 2 items on this side, and then I have 1 item over here. I only want 1 item on the left. Well, I have an absolute value, which there's no other one, so it's not a like term. I have a negative 8 and I have a 42. I know negative 8 and 42 are like terms, so I'm going to combine them. So the opposite of minus 8 is add 8 to each side. Now we have the absolute value of 5n equals 50. Okay, so now my absolute value is all by itself, so I can think about like a number line. If I'm going to go 50 spaces to the right, I'm at positive 50. And if I go 50 spaces to the left, I'm at negative 50. So those could be my two answers. So I have 5n equals positive 50 and 5n equals negative 50. Again, it's very important that you split into your two answers because sometimes the numbers are different, just like on 11 and 12. We can't guess that they're going to be the same unless we actually finish the problems. So we divide by 5 because my variable is getting multiplied by n. My variable is getting multiplied by 5. And then when I divide by 5, I get n is equal to 10, and n is equal to negative 10. Number 14 and number 11 are very, very similar as well. There's a number in front that's getting multiplied by your absolute value. We're trying to get the absolute value by itself, so we're going to do the opposite. The opposite of multiply is divide. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Then I have the absolute value of negative 1 minus 4n equals 3. Okay, so now the absolute value is all by itself. So again, we think of our number line. If I move 3 spaces to the right, I'll be at 3, and 3 spaces to the left, I'll be at negative 3. So those are my two answers. I have 1 minus 4n equals 3, and 1 minus 4n equals negative 3. So now we're going to solve for our n. So we have a lovely two-stepper. We're trying to save the n until the very end. So my like terms are my 1 and my 3. Again, I have two items on this side and I only want one. So the goal is to get a variable on one side and a number on the other. So we're going to get the extra piece away, and the extra piece always matches this side, whether it's a letter or a number. In this case, it's a number. The opposite of positive 1 is minus 1, so I'm going to minus 1 from each side, and the same thing happens over here because the inside of our absolute value was the same on both. So the process to each of these is going to be the same, but you might not get the same answer, so be very careful. So I have negative 4n still equals 2, and I have negative 4n equals negative 4. Our last step is to get the variable by itself by doing the opposite of multiply, so we're going to divide each side by negative 4. Okay, and then n equals, negative 1/2 for the first one, and n equals 1 for the second one. Again, these are very different answers, so you have to be really careful about them. Okay, and then 15 through 18 is pretty similar to that problem. You have the step on the outside and then 2 steps on the inside to complete. So like 15 and 17 are pretty identical. They just have different signs. And then you've got 16. Oh, these all three are pretty identical. Okay, I'm just going to do 17 and then I'll do 16. So on 17, we're trying to get the absolute value by itself. So the opposite of minus 4 is add 4 to each side, because that's the extra piece, and 4 and 22 are like terms. So now you have 6 plus 3a equals 22, 20, 19, 18. Wait, what? 18. 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, negative 18. All right, so now the absolute value is all by itself. So I'm going to draw my number line and put 0. And then I move 18 spaces from 0. Oh, wait, I can't move negative 18 spaces from 0. How do I walk negative spaces? Okay, so... Okay, I'll do 15. Okay. So that one doesn't work. So number 15, we're trying to get the absolute value all by itself. So I have this plus 6 next to my absolute value. So we're going to do the opposite of plus 6. So we're going to minus 6 on each side. So now I have 7a plus 9 equals 6 minus 6 is 0. Okay, so now we draw our cute little number line at the 0. And we're going to go 0 spots from 0. So to go 0 spots from 0, I move 0 spots, which means that this time I'm only going to have one solution, one answer. So I have 7a plus 9 equals 0, because 0 doesn't have a partner. It's just 0. It's just stuck in the middle. Okay, so we're going to solve this guy. So the opposite of plus 9 is minus 9. What we do to one side, we must do to the other. So now I have 7a equals negative 9. This one's not very pretty. We get the variable by itself by doing the opposite of multiply, so we divide on each side by 7, and a equals -9/7. We can just leave it as a fraction. Okay, I'll do number 18 too, since that one is similar, and it's a little bit different in the answers. Sorry, I didn't think about the way the answers would be before I said I was only going to do one. So here we go. Okay, the absolute value, we got to get it all by itself. We're adding 4, so in order to get the absolute value by itself, we're going to subtract by 4 on each side. Now we have the absolute value of 4 plus 5x equals 16. Okay, so we draw our cute little number line, starting at 0. We're going to move 16 spaces this way so we can get to positive 16, and we're going to move 16 spaces this way so we can get to negative 16. So I know that it seems silly to draw the number line every time, but if you forget other little steps and little, like, oh, we can't move negative spaces, or the step about moving 0 spaces, this will help you. You can actually think through how you're moving if you draw it out. So that's what I recommend. Okay, so we can move positive 16 spaces or to the negative 16 by moving 16 spaces on our number line. So we have 4 plus 5x equals positive 16, and 4 plus 5x equals negative 16. So we need to get the 5x by itself. We love two-steppers so much. We are going to do the opposite of positive 4, so we're going to subtract by 4 on each side. So now we have 5x equals 12. This one's not pretty either. Minus 4 minus 4. This one's nice though. Look. Oh, I'm so excited. 16 minus 4 is negative 20. And I love this because when I divide by 5, then x is negative 4. Oh, I forgot the negative. Okay. On this side, it's fine. We can still divide. Divide each side by 5, and then the x is 12/5. If you want to, you can put it as a decimal, but fraction works really, really, really good. Okay, and then last but not least, number 16. Number 16 looks slightly different than all of these. So remember, if you have a fraction, that means divide. The opposite of divide is multiply, and we need to get this 8 away. So the fraction is all by itself, which means that we are allowed to multiply right now. And remember, when you multiply on this side, you're only canceling out the numbers. The top must stay exactly the same, so don't change it. Just like we did for inequalities, just like we did for equations. 1 times 8 is 8. Now we can draw our cute little number line. Start at the 0. We're going to move 8 spaces this way and get to positive 8. 8 spaces this way is negative 8. So I have, no, I don't have negative 8. I have 8 minus 3x equals negative 8, and 8 minus 3x equals positive 8. So we're going to do the opposite of add x. Again, lovely two-stepper. We've done the same steps on this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. They all have the same steps. Once you get to this point where you have a two-stepper, which means 2 items on one side and 1 item on the other. Okay, we match the 2 items that are on each side to find like terms. So we're going to do the opposite of plus 8, which is minus 8 to each side. And since the absolute value was the same, it's the same on this other equation. Those make 0, leaving just our 3x. Negative 8x minus, or negative 8 minus 8 is negative 16. And then here we've got negative 3x, and 8 minus 8 is 0. Divide, because my negative 3 is getting multiplied by my x, so the opposite is divide. What you do to one side, you must do to the other side. And then over here we have negative 16 over negative 3, which can be reduced to 16/3. And then on this side, sorry, it's getting messy. On this side over here, when we divided, 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay, at the very bottom of your test review, you have to figure out where the mistake was made, and then you need to do the problem correctly, write out their mistakes, and then tell us what the new answer is, okay? So my suggestion is to start by just doing the problem on your own, and then kind of looking at your work and their work and seeing where they messed up. All right. If you have any questions about your test, talk to your teacher. Hope you had a great day. Bye.